All right, welcome everyone. Good to see all of you, or I guess it's good to be with all of you since you can see me and I can't see you. I'm fired up to do the first of these. This is the first of 21 of these. We're gonna have 20 days after this one. This is the introductory one, and I'm fired up to introduce you to the essential 2020 guide to self-awareness, self-control, and self-confidence. And the reason I wanted to do this right now is I've got a boy, how to phrase this, how to get this across using words. There's a there's a need right now, and it's not a new need, it's not a different need. The cheers from Prague. What's happening? Um, it's not a new need, but this global situation that we are in right now has vaulted to the surface a uh, a challenge that has made acute for a lot of people, and it's made relevant at a very surface level, or I should say, it's brought to the surface for all of us a need for depth in behavior skills. I not all of you are subscribers to the daily discipline email that I write, but I've been writing an email each morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time that goes out. It's very brief. It fits on a phone screen. They're very short. They're very brief, and I've been writing these for 3 years. I've sent it Monday through Friday for 3 years without missing a day, and the objective of these daily discipline emails is and has always been to teach and apply simple skills with elite discipline. That's what we're trying to do. And my mission, my goal in these emails for the last 3 years has always been to provide relevance and value directly to you with no middleman, no in between. And where it kicked off for me was being in this business for 15 years of teaching these behavior skills to businesses all over the world, to sports teams and coaches and students and teachers. One of the big questions that I would get at the end of a session or at the end of a workshop or a keynote, and I still get it a lot, is how do you keep this alive? And my question, or the answer to that, was always the same, and people didn't like it. And that is, you just do it. It's like anything keeping alive. You wake up and you do it, you go. And so because they were so disappointed in the answer, and I have notes in my library like this, and I don't know if you can all see all the books that I keep, and I've got notepads everywhere. These are all notes that I write to myself. I decided to convert my own notes every day into a message in an email for all of you. And I call it Daily Discipline. If you're not a subscriber, you can, and you're interested, it's free. You can join at dailydiscipline.com. We got about 30,000 people who get it every day, and it's unbelievable that it's grown to that size. Never pictured it to be that large, and I'm grateful every day for everyone who reads. Here's the point: what the next 20 days are about. There's a structure that I use in my life that I have taught some, but not a lot. Some of you might have been exposed to it depending on where you are and when you've worked with me and when I've visited your environment, your school, your team. But there's a structure that I use in my life that I want to start teaching more to all of you. And that is the structure of self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-control. Because I believe that at the intersection of self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-control, that's where the best I am capable of lives. That's where I'm the best. And in my own life, when I let one of those slip, when one of those slide, every part of my life that has any relevance or value to me or anyone else, it starts to dip. If I lack self-awareness, my capacity to stay self-confident and my ability to be in self-control, it really starts to slip. I'm not at my best. If I stay self-aware and I have self-control, but I don't have self-confidence, I don't push my best self forward. I don't try the things that I need to try. And if I have self-awareness and self-confidence, but I don't have self-control, I act too impulsively. I am overconfident, and I don't have the self-control to be very skillful. And we all know somebody in our lives who lacks self-awareness, who lacks self-confidence, or who lacks self-control. All of us know people like that. All of us are directly dealing with people like that right now. And what I want to do, what I want to provide is I want to provide this guide to self-awareness, self-control, and self-confidence. And I'm choosing to do this right now specifically because this is a time where we have two things going on. One, we have the opportunity to invest into ourselves, into our teams, into our people in ways that we don't always have. This is a time where we have been pulled out of our routines and new routines are being established, and so we can give to people. And we're having all these Zoom calls, we're having all these presentations, we're trying to help people who are in need, both financially and physically, but also emotionally and behaviorally. We're trying to help people get over or deal with fears and sometimes even embarrassments or anxieties of this current situation. So we've got this capacity to invest into people and feed their self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-control. And then number two is that we have the challenge of getting better at those things during this intense adversity. And in my experience and in my observation, there is no better time to practice and train than during the hard times. These are the moments in my observation, and I think historically it shows this. If you can train yourself during these hard moments, what happens is what we learn and understand and embed, it sticks at a deeper level. And it becomes one of those foundations. It becomes one of those structures that we rely on and we count on. And so here's what the next 20, here's what I'm doing. Over the next 20 days on YouTube Live every morning, and I'm going to try to do this every morning around the same time. I'd like to do this at 10 a.m. every morning. I'm going to guess that life and some structures are going to get in the way of this, but I'm going to try to do this every morning at 10 a.m. I'll do it every day no matter what. It's just a matter of what time. I'm going to introduce you to a new behavior skill. I've got 20 of them. And each day I'm going to introduce the behavior skill, and I'm going to teach that behavior skill through the lens of self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-control. What I mean by that is this. Let's pick what tomorrow's is going to be. Tomorrow's is going to be the behavior skill of focus. How do you stay self-aware of your focus? How do you stay self-confident in your focus? And how do you stay in self-control of your focus? That's what we're going to address tomorrow. I'm going to take this structure and then we're going to apply it to the essential 20 trainable behavior skills that unleash greatness. And my hope for you is this. My hope is that the first person this serves is you. That's my hope. My wish is that the first person this serves is you. The second thing is that this provides some structure and some guidance for those of you who are leading other people. And what I'm also going to do is I'm also teeing this up because in the Daily Discipline community, I've actually got an entire guidebook that walks through this content. And inside the Daily Discipline community, I am going to create, and I'm actually almost done with it, I'm going to create a slide deck presentation of each of these behavior skills, all 20 of them. And I'm just going to use these YouTube Lives to teach them to you in this fashion. But there's also a guidebook that exists, and there is also a slide deck that exists for you to present to your teams, to your schools, to your communities, your remote teams, your athletes, your staff, whoever it is that you would want to teach them to. And so for those of you who are looking for concrete, applicable skills that you can teach that have relevance right now in 2020, I wanted to create this opportunity and offer that to you. If that's something that you're interested in, there's two ways to do this. One, you can watch these videos every day over the next 20 days. Go through this with us. Let's go together. And then take them, convert them, and by all means, run with them. If you want to go to the next level, if you want to get something physical in your hands, if you want to have a deck that you can share and present to other people, and you want that made, I've handled that for you. That's inside the Daily Discipline community, and you can log in and you can join there, and that's at dailydiscipline.com/community. And so there's two ways you can get it. You can get it right here on YouTube. Grab your own notes, take it, and run with it. And there's a lot of you who are going to take me up on that offer. And we'll just go the next 20 days on that march. The second way is you can join the Daily Discipline community, and you can actually get the downloadable handbook as well as the slides so that you can present, and you can take all this work that I've done already for you, and you can go give it to your teams. So that's what we're doing. Tomorrow we are going to get into focus. I will let you know what behavior skill we're going into the next day, each day we do this. So tomorrow is going to be the simple skill of focus, which is primarily the management of attention. So that's the first 10 minutes for today. I see we got a bunch of people in here and some Q&A. Let me go through these, scroll back to the top, and let's get into some answers here. One, hello to everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're safe. I hope you're enjoying and using this time. And I hope that there was part of you that prepared for this emotionally and mentally, that understanding this is what happens in life in the world. Historically, we are right in line with what happens. This just happens to be what happened during our lifetimes, our brief lifetimes on this planet. And number two is I hope that you are using this opportunity in this time to build something into yourself of strength. That's what I believe these times ultimately, the legacy of these times reveal is they either strengthened us or they weakened us somehow. And my hope is that this time, despite how hard it is, strengthens you in some very important ways. Okay. I love how many people are in here from all over the place, all over the world. So let me jump in and let me answer some questions. Real quick, I hope I'm saying this right. Miroslav, Pam, Dorothy, Paige, Sandra, Nikki, Richard, Barth, Rick, Tamara, Ralph, Stefan, Linda, Aaron, Andy, who works for me. What's up, Andy? Kevin, Zach, Matt, Josimar, I love that name. Taylor, Michael, John, Karen, Kisha, Tamara. Okay, Tamara, first question. Do I have a method to my self-note organization? You do the same, find out the intermix for type of notes. I wish I could find out a way to organize my notes. Here's what I've found, Tamara. Every time I've tried to organize my notes, I actually work harder on organizing, and I limit the way I take my notes. The answer is I do not have an order. I do not have a structure. I try structures that work for organizing certain thoughts. The closest I've got, and I'll show you here, the closest I've got is I'll take a set of note cards like this with some individual notes that I will pull from a notebook like this, and I will write them down, and I'll show you. I will write them down as core thoughts or ideas, and then I will flag them according to a topic. But that's for my very specific notes for the purposes of writing my book right now. That seems to be super helpful. But no, other than that, I literally write down notes inside books, inside notebooks. I put all those notebooks in a certain spot. The one thing I do is I reread them regularly. It's a huge, huge learning point for me, is to read my old notes, not just keep writing new ones. So I'm always writing, or I should say I'm always reading content that I find valuable. I'm always writing about that content, and then I'm always reading my own notes about what it is that I had written a while back. That's how I do it. Mr. H, what's happening? Zachary, will these videos be saved on this channel? Yes, these videos will be saved. So if you ever miss a live one, you can always come back and see it later. Obviously, live means we can get into some Q&A. You can get your questions answered. But yeah, these videos will be on my YouTube channel and saved like any other YouTube video. They take a time to process, so I think it takes, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours until it gets back up on the stream. Maybe an hour, I don't know. All right, let's keep going here. Tom, Artis, Weed Film, Vienna, Australia, in the house. What's happening? Taylor, would love to get me back on the Focus 3 podcast as a guest with me, TK, and Urban. Yeah, that actually, that might be fun. That might be fun. Scott, how do we receive the daily emails? I received the live stream email, but not any others. Scott, easiest way, and for everyone, easiest way to get the emails is go to dailydiscipline.com. You can also go to tbriankight.com, and there's a subscription button to subscribe to the Daily Discipline email. It's free. You put your name and your email in, and you start getting it every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. Could not be easier. Norma, how do I get my leaders to buy in? As a CEO, I'm only as strong as my weakest leaders. I don't want to waste this opportunity. Norma, somebody asked this last time on the live chat, and this is the simplest answer that I can give you for the time context that we have. And there's obviously a lot more to this, but here's the first thing. The first thing for getting buy-in is create something worth buying into. The second thing is recognize it is always going to be their choice, not yours. Buy-in is something that you make attractive to the kind of people that you want in your organization. The choice to buy in is theirs. And they have to make the decision that this is something that they want. Now, how do you attract people to something worth buying into? Well, the big key that I think most leaders skip is that you have to make the buy-in process one of self-interest for the individual. Remember always that buy-in is a motive of self-interest. It has to touch something in the person that they desire, they want, or an image they have of themselves. So create something that by buying into it, it's an extension of one of their pre-existing desires. That's the key. In order to do that, you have to understand, you have to listen, you have to empathize with each individual, find out what their motives are, find out what their self-interest is, point that self-interest in the same direction as your mission, and then let them make that decision over time by you proving that value. That's the key to it. Mr. H, Ralph, Miroslav, Jackson, Andy, David. What's happening, David? Good to see you, man. Jeff Palmer, Dan Coons. Yeah, this time, it's hard picking a time, Dan. So I thought about doing these at 8 a.m., which I might do some of them earlier, but that's 5 a.m. For a lot of people on the Pacific Coast we have a large audience out there. I might do some of these at night. I'll probably end up mixing it up based on some feedback is probably what I'll do. Dorothy, shout out from Waxhaw. Absolutely, good to see you. I'm just down the road. We could probably throw a baseball to each other, huh? Brandon, high school teacher out of Nebraska, coming at the perfect time. Talking about a strength coalition. Yeah, absolutely. Before I forget, if you do want to get, here's an example. Here's what the guidebook is. The guidebook has all of these behavior skills. It's got everything in here, and you can subscribe to the Daily Discipline community at dailydiscipline.com/community. That's how you can join there. And then when you get in, the resources will be there. Will be in there this week as we get kicked off on this thing. A couple more questions. We got another minute or two. Oh, my live chat keeps updating here. All right, a couple more questions. Let's see if we can get into these. Chris, thanks for thinking about TK. That means a lot to us. It really does. Thank you. Jackson Medic asks Q&A, what's the number one skill that we should all be working on during this epidemic? I hope for me that's obvious. It's discipline, because discipline is the one skill that unlocks everything. So if I'm responsible for choosing the skill that everyone is working on, it's the skill of discipline and understanding what discipline is, why it matters, what it looks like for you. And then attaching that discipline as you're building it to the key areas and behavior skills of your life. We'll be getting into that here over the next 20 days. Let's keep going. Yeah, Mr. H says, Q&A, my biggest struggle is going back to my notes and reviewing them. I have notes all over the place. I mean, look, simplify it. Put your notepads in. I have a stack of notepads right there. I have a stack of notepads on my desk. I have a stack of notepads back in my reading chair. I just put notepads in key places where I go. I have a stack of notepads by my bed. So wherever I am, I've got something that I've written that I have available to read within a hand's grasp. Outside of that, I don't have a whole lot of other structure. So put your notepads that you've already written in places where you do your daily routine. I find that that's a really helpful way for me to do it. I try not to overthink this because then I spend more time planning than I spend doing. And I want to be more doing than planning, at least with stuff like this. What am I reading right now that I should be? I'm reading Plutarch right now. I'm rereading Montaigne right now. And I'm also reading a handful of books on writing and influence because I'm doing a lot of writing. I've got a book that I'm writing right now. This is actually, you know what this is? This is actually year one of all my daily disciplines. So this is all of 2018 of daily disciplines. I think there's 212 in here. And so I'm, that's just 1 year. And the entire archive is in the daily discipline community. If you're interested in reading like 570 daily disciplines, this is just 1 year. So I'm going back and you can see, look, I'm rereading what I've written with my own notes and re-highlighting back my own thoughts because what I wrote 2.5, 3 years ago, it's hard to keep fresh. So I'm rewriting that. That's what I'm doing. Couple more questions. I know we're a couple minutes over, but I do want to get to these. Yeah, what would I recommend for healthcare workers on front lines to stay positive, motivated, refreshed to care for the patients? Amy's an ER nurse in an area they're we're staring in masks and face shields for 12 hours. The first thing, Amy, is obviously appreciate you and all of the other healthcare workers. The first thing is you have to do the things that take care of you. One of the things about and I've worked in healthcare my entire career, worked with healthcare, I should say, my entire career at every level, docs, nurses, in hospitals, as well as specialty care, dentists, eye surgeons, heart surgeons, all of those. First thing is take care of yourself. That when you go give as much of yourself emotionally and physically to other people when you're running 12s, and then you also have family, you can get caught putting yourself last. And that doesn't do good for anyone. So the first piece is take care of yourself. Look at the things that directly affect. Breathing directly affects emotions. Emotions directly affect breathing. Focus on breathing. Focus on the story you're telling yourself. Minimize the amount of attention that you are giving to other things besides taking care of yourself, because you can get caught giving your attention to Twitter and Instagram or whatever. You can get caught kind of getting in the entertainment game thinking that's relief. And some people turn to alcohol or food or whatever those things are, but I'm more concerned, frankly, about the digital things that we give attention to, because we just want to be away from it. And what that does is it leaves stuff unresolved. So the key is take care of yourself. And I think that gives you perspective, right? Make sure you look in your internal world and spend enough time inside there to get yourself right so that you can bring the best you to the external world. That's the number one thing that I would do. And do not in any way think that is selfish. And if anybody else does, it's okay. Just push them aside and make sure you take care of you, because that's your number one job. All right, last couple here. I'm so glad, Amy, that you moved over to the ER. That's huge. Tyler says these skills are evident in adversity because you get more clear results from practice, and however they seem harder to ingrain and following during the easy times. It takes more discipline. Yes, here's the truth, Tyler. For all of history, and I think I wrote about this recently, but for all of history, there's actually I talked about this in the Daily Discipline community. It was one of the exclusive subscriber videos that I sent out. Is that whatever you want to practice, whatever you want to perform in the hard times, you have to practice in the leisure times. And the hard part is during leisure, we don't want to practice. We don't want to put ourselves under strain. We want to enjoy the fruits of our leisure, or the fruits of our labor, which is the leisure. But the people who don't practice when they're in leisure find themselves in strain and adversity without the skills and ability to perform. It's the practice in leisure that reveals the quality of the training under adversity. And that's hard, but frankly, that's why I do this work. Justin uses the DD emails in our management calls. Love it, man. Vista Murrieta, what's up from Cali? Fallbrook guy, right next to you guys. Incorporating DD fundamentals into student advisory. This Essential 2020 guide is going to be perfect for you guys. All right, y'all. That's it. We went 7 minutes over the plan, but I want to make sure I got to all the questions here on day one. So tomorrow, I'll get the time nailed down. I'll make sure you guys know what time it's coming out. The plan is 10 a.m. Eastern time as of right now. We'll see if we stick with that and how many days, and make sure we're checking with the calendar. But tomorrow will be day 1 of 20 on this Essential 2020 guide to self-awareness, self-control, and self-confidence. We are going to teach 20 trainable behavior skills that unleash greatness. And tomorrow, we begin with focus. See you tomorrow, everyone.